Hello. This is an interview of the Alternative Building Industry Collective for the Architecture Lobby's Venice Biennale exhibit. We are really, really excited to have Nathan and Jordan from the ABI Collective here today to talk a bit about the really powerful organizing work that they do. And yeah, so I'll just kick it off and maybe we can all go around and say our names, pronouns, and maybe a key moment from our architecture and building industry organizing career. My name is John Ludlam, pronouns he and him, and was really inspired to get involved in architecture organizing, just seeing how grading some of the academic spaces can be as a student, and how that carries out into the profession. So yeah, I'll kick it off to y'all.
I'm Nathan Streeter. I am an architectural designer, he, him pronouns. A licensed architect in New York. I've been working with Abby, and actually, one of the key moments for me was was what really jump started my Abby involvement. A meeting at Cooper Union 2 years ago, where we were supposed to be meeting to talk about labor and green efforts coming together. And really, what the conversation switched to was kind of about the struggle of demand for change from our clients and whether or not they really were pushing for change. And that the struggle wasn't within the industry necessarily, but it was about changing the framework. So really got involved with Local Law 97 and with Abby trying to advance a policy platform.
I'm Jordan Jackson. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a building performance um, worker, yeah, specialist, I don't know. And I also work in New York City. I think a key moment for me was looking for an org in looking at other organizations to get involved with. I felt that some were more like academic oriented, focused on like publishing works, and I found that that wasn't really my thing. So I was looking for something that was more grassroots organizing and something that was open or seemed more inviting to like people that weren't just explicitly architects. So the Abbey Collective, yeah, felt like a really good place for that.
Awesome. Thanks so much, y'all. So I guess I'll just ask the first question. So what are one or two key problems you engage with that you or other architecture workers face? And to broaden that question, workers, not just architecture workers, but building industry workers in general.
Yeah, John, I think that a lot of what we do, because it's upfront and because it's design on the back end, is kind of unseen. And that's not to like say that we're underappreciated necessarily, but that like the what we do has lasting impacts. So one of the, I mean, there's kind of a twofold problem. Really understanding when you're new in the industry that like the decisions you make are going to last a really long time and they're going to impact people's lives. So that's like a key, like understanding and problem, I think. But then also, like the other part of that is just realizing that, like, what we do, there's kind of a disconnect between design and implementation, and that is unseen as well. Often we're like thinking that the design we've made is like the greatest thing and it's going to green the city or it's going to be carbon neutral. And like we're unaware maybe of either to Jordan's profession, the energy modeling or things that like we use tools for, but we don't dig into it to maybe either how the contractor is going to implement it or what incentives the city might have. And one of the things that's been eye-opening in Abbey is these are challenges that I knew about, but that our colleagues have kind of brought to the forefront as we look at like the way policy shapes architecture. Um, yeah, so I think it's kind of twofold. Both like the lasting impact can be devastating because if we don't get it right, um, you know, there's always room for improvement. It's not like, perfectionism is the goal. But, if we don't get it right, like our struggles have lasting impacts. And, I think that our clients need to appreciate that. I think we as a profession need to appreciate that. And, the integration and implementation of that is just as important as putting pen to paper. So I know, like working with Jordan and one of our colleagues, Chase, it's just like there's a world out there of implementing that and policy that just changes your intentions, sometimes unknowingly.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, yeah, has definitely guided my professional work and in within Abby is just like this feeling a disconnect between like what goes on maybe in like a design office, remote versus like what's happening at the building, on site, the people living there, as well. And so I think that, and how it's getting built. And so I think, yeah, that further increases the need for getting, folks that are in maintenance, in operations, in construction, those types of workers also involved in the organizing work. Something I've also struggled with is in terms of working for, yeah, sustainability and energy efficiency when we're in a building and I'm kind of auditing the building and inspecting it and trying to look at what are the existing conditions like. Um, Something that I would be really interested in is like asking the tenants, like, what is their experience like? Um, are they comfortable? What do they notice? What would they like to see improved? But we're actually not supposed to talk to the tenants because our contract is like strictly with the building owners and building management, and they would not like us to talk to them because that might give them a different story. They kind of want to present a certain way. But I think that's a big issue because the tenants know the best firsthand what it's like being and experiencing and living in a building. I think another thing is also just develop or an issue that I've experienced is just having education and experience working on retrofitting as opposed to new construction. I think that um, new construction sometimes opens you, or I don't know, opens you to a certain sort of clientele, but I think that also including, yeah, working with retrofitting and working with existing buildings, I think is also important to what sort of, yeah, clients you can work with.
Yeah. And just to jump in, John, I mean, it's like retrofitting on like multiple scales too, because like to Jordan's experience and then to my own, like I worked on Moynihan Train Hall for 4 years. And as, a project architect on a retrofit that's completely of a scale that like new developers were involved in, obviously, is a huge project, but you have it's kind of like the way we think of adaptive reuse and like has to change on that larger scale because you had people that were trying to do or they were used to smaller scale modeling for adaptive reuse and they were just overwhelmed. And like as we look at like the future problems that I think we're going to face, it's like how do we reuse like really big buildings and how do we like model for that and like think about it and like yeah, that's maybe a future one. Sorry, I took three.
No, 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 it's all good. When I actually think that was a perfect kind of segue, and into the next question, and which is also something I'm really excited to hear about because I think this interdisciplinary model that Abby has going on is really, really powerful and unique. So yeah, like what advice do you have for people looking to get involved in organizing around the issues that you're focused on?
Jordan, do you want to lead off on this one?
Sure. I think, let's see, I think, yeah, just being like just getting started somewhere, I think is really helpful. Something I learned, like even if it's just you or you and one other person doing a 3-minute public comment at a local, code council meeting or a city council meeting, I think that's good. You don't need to wait till you have this really large organization. So yeah, just starting somewhere and being ready to just show up. I think I've also learned the importance of in-person work because there is a lot of relational work that happens and just in showing up in person. That was something that surprised me. Um, I think another thing is not waiting or not, like it's okay to kind of claim your role as a building industry worker, even if you might not feel like you super belong. Like within our group, for example, we have someone that's like a climate and democracy researcher. We have someone that's more on the incentive side. We have someone that's trying to figure out the role. We have building performance. We have a few architects. So I think it's, yeah, not everyone feels like they're part of the field and making sure that in your organizing, you're open to the whole plethora of building industry workers. I think another thing kind of on in relation to that is not waiting till you feel like you're qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just yeah, getting started. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that goes hand in hand with like Jordan's instigated me helping with like some public comments and things like that, where you don't always, especially as an architect, like if your name isn't on the door, like you don't feel like, or at least I think it's a very apprenticeship like based structure still. So you often don't feel like you are the expert, right? And it's recognizing what experience you have, and that the people asking questions are often not other industry professionals. They're often like the public, or they're council members who are looking to like get informed. Um, I I got like plugged in to a little bit of like lobbying and stuff through Young Architects Forum, and YAF, the quadrennial mission 2130 like had us like thinking like 100 years in the future, and I like kind of jump started me like talking to people who don't think about like architecture, who might not like know things about this, and realizing that we could bring a little bit of expertise about the building industry, even if I don't know any everything. I know maybe a little bit more than them. So yeah, it's finding any forum that you can, and then finding a group that you can build a community with that's willing to drag you to other panels.
Thanks for that. I really appreciate this like bias towards action that y'all
Yeah,
are talking about with just jump right in and get involved because, especially for the issues that, Abby is focused, I mean, all the issues, but, with the climate crisis, there's no time to waste, right? We need to hop in right now. You know,
absolutely.
and I think that, you hop in and you meet the people that are there with you. And I think that, yeah, just
Hop in
making
and build things. Don't hop in and break things.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um, so yeah, I just really appreciated hearing y'all's thoughts and the insightful answers because yeah, it's really amazing to see this group kind of come together around yeah, interdisciplinary stuff and you know local issues that have, global impacts. So yeah, unless anybody has something that they want to specifically end on, I'll leave that out there. Okay.
No, I think that we have to recognize that you're one of our partners in this as well,
Yeah, that's
uh,
been my secret through this interview is I'm also part of the Happy Collective.
which we love.
Yeah.
So it's really a big group, and finding people that have the same goal is more important than necessarily finding people that have the same background.
Hmm. That's a really good note to end on. Let's leave it there. Um, Thank you so much, Nathan and Jordan, for talking with us. We're so excited to put this big collection of interviews together, and really excited Abby could be a part of it. So thank you again, and yeah, have a good morning.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.